Hello YouTube, long time no see. Yeah, well, I was pretty busy, and this is a more of a spontaneous video, just showing off my newest character I did. And well, there's something special on this one because it's actually my first character that I rigged with my auto rigging system that I'm currently working on. And yeah, so I'm just going to go a little bit here on the character, some of the features. um, Showing off some things that I found out for myself worked better than ways I did before and ways I showed you in previous videos. That goes for something like the neck. I'm going to show you that, and yeah, some of those things that I'm going to cover. So basically, this is just a little bit of nerdy talking again. Don't expect any technical how-to and tutorials on this one, but if you want to, you can enjoy this video. So let me, what's this guy here? It's the lights. Go away. Okay, so yeah, this is a character. As you see, is a little bit like the other characters, and yeah, I think that'll never change. There will always be coming more characters like this. I like it. Um, so let me show you the rig itself that is made with the auto rigger. I'm not going to cover my auto rigging tool right now because it's not finished. I still have no working UI, and yeah, I'm going to make another video on that as soon as I get that finished. But for now, it's the basic rigs already work. The basic functions are already scripted, and so let me show you a little bit what this does. Starting from the bottom. So the legs aren't very fancy, is just standard legs, but the rigging system does support to rig the toes, so I did that. And yeah, I feel like this simple control, and yeah, some other things, like it has the other auto knee pole vector that never flips, as you can see. It has here some settings for the general foot bank. Still didn't do any skinning on the foot. Well, it's to be done someday. Yeah, she actually was wearing boots, so I didn't care too much about skinning the foot itself. Do we have yeah, then it has like very standard leg features, like foot roll, foot bank, leg twist. Basically, it's just an offset to the knee pole vector. That's all. And yeah, it has a little bit of extra control. So if you go to visible, we got some controls here for different pivots. So that's also pretty standard DT knowledge. They teach that on the digital rigging characters for production. Also, the toast was but super easy rig on the toast, so no need to explain anything on this one. And yeah, so that's what the feet. The knee is just very standard pole vector. Then we have here is my counter twist leg rig. So when I move the pole vector here, see the leg stays holding volume. I don't lose too much of the shape here, and that comes from these few bones here that are doing counter twist to hold the position showing forward as the hip does. And of course we have some extra offset controls here. We can rotate this to offset the entire effect. We can have implemented a little bit of attributes here to these 4 attributes here define the amount of rotation of each single joint. So you see, bone I mean. So you see rotate A here is the most one, so it rotates completely to counter twist, and then they rotate less and less and less until they rotate entirely with the leg. and then I have some the switcher is actually being able to turn on and off, and then the control also has not only rotate X, but I actually implemented to having it rotate, and you can do whatever you like with this control. I usually took the freedom to leave this because, you know, little offsets like this can sometimes be very useful in certain poses and animations, so why not keeping it there? That's it. Then I have, of course, some extra controls here for, I think, let me hide this image for a while. Yeah, so I have here some extra controls. The script did them a little bit too small, but yeah, there actually is pretty straightforward too. It's just an extra offset control to offset every single. Let me select them from here. To offset every single twist bone on itself and do some whatever you like. You can even scale these on this side, so you can get some interesting effects, like as you can see here. Looks funny already. Maybe too much. So yeah, that's it's there if anyone needs it. And yeah, that was pretty it. I have some. I have a very simple FK system. It's no fancy triple chain setup and IK blend stuff and things like that. I'll show you how this works. It's very easy. There's yeah. So here's a leg IK blend. It's basically, if I was actually no blend attribute because it actually just is 0 or 1. There is no blend. So if I turn this to a 1, my IK controls up here. And well, the rig is super simple. The IK leg is still fully functional, and it's basically just parented underneath these controls here, which I can manipulate in an FK way. So you see, it's pretty nice FK. So no, I have no need to what I want to do any sort of fancy chain switching and stuff like that. So it works pretty good. It's just for animation. You would need to pick very clean poses to blend this, or to just actually flip it. Then let's just get up to the spine. This is very basic digital tutorials production spine with just slight changes. So you can see it's just the same spine as I showed in the other video on the more tips for character rigs. And yeah, I think there's no much new into this spine. I don't know. Maybe just an FK system that I added to this. So this means we have here on the center of gravity control. You can see here's extra controls. Well, this is just controls for the IK system. So you can see we can do some offsetting on every single spine segment on itself. Oh, I see these things are not skinned yet. I'm gonna hide them for now. So yeah, basically just very standard. Basically, you can do some. I never used this. I don't know why anyone would ever use this. So, but it's there. Didn't cost too much lines of code, so I just implemented it like this. But here's the fun stuff. FK spine controls. We can turn them on and work with them already. So even though this is an IK spine, so you can see stretch spline IK and fancy stuff. But on top of that, we still are able to do FK controls. It's not really FK, it's again like FK. It's just FK controls parented one after the other, and they are controlling the torso. So you can see, if I move this bone down here compensates the movement to the opposite side because of the smooth interpolation between hip and chest bones on the spine. So yeah, but actually we can actually let me leave this like this. We can switch this to be pure FK, and excuse me. Okay, so here spine FK blend. If I turn this off, we notice a slight uh, shift in the spine, because now this is actually really FK, and every control here actually does control absolutely his own spine segment. So we can get some poses that we would hardly or never be able to get from the current IK spine. So, and of course, it is smooth switchable. So, and the system will try its best to maintain the position during the blend. So this is not going to work very good on this one. So you see the spine is like other computer. No, 1 second. Okay. So you see the spine smooths a little bit out. Excuse me. Smooths a little bit because of the I've got a dry throat. Smooth a little bit for the third time. Smooth for the because of the way the spline was rigged. But it does a pretty good job, and you know, I heard from some animators that they actually do prefer FK spines much rather than IK spines. So I thought I just implement both systems and try to make it the best to have the animators be able to animate both systems. So you can see even in now that I'm twisting in the Y, which is something very, very tricky in with splines, I can still blend this and it still works. So now we're in IK. Now we are in FK. This doesn't work anymore like this. It just stretches the spine, but it doesn't rotate anymore. So this one is the one when you want to rotate with for the FK, and this again is IK. So let me zero these things out for now and keep it going. Oh. No, there is something. This is zeroed out. No, there's something. Ah, there you go. Okay. So yeah, and I think that's it for the spine. The other things are very much the stuff that I explained in the other video. That system didn't change, so you still have the this volume setup. Actually, this is not implemented in the auto rigging system. I should do this. But it's a little bit harder to determine where exactly these joints need to go and where would be the best pivot for them to and stuff like that. So because this is still working with set-driven keys, and I could set driven keys on the script, but it would require to know the character it would require that you know the character's deformation before you ever rigged it once in order to set the values for this character, because for every character these values are going to be different on the set-driven keys depending on the way the torso is moving. So I just made another little tool to help me to rig these things manually but really fast. So I think for this entire rig it took just like an hour to do. After the main system was done, I just implemented some extra volume setups that I'm going to go about briefly here. And yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm basically on the breast rig. It changed quite a little. This is entirely auto rigged, so I didn't do anything on this one. And I rigged this in a way where, because of you know, I worked on the auto rigger. I scripted the entire auto rigger working with this actual character, and as you can see, she's wearing a corset that holds stuff down here very stiff. So if I ever wanted to make this dynamic, the mass down here wouldn't be able to move very much. So I needed to figure out a way where I can be able to split this into segments and be able to control the dynamic influence on each segment. So what I did here was just upper, then front and lower, and when this corset is active, you can see here dynamic translate is set to a very low value. So this dynamic translate goes basically from 0 to 1, which is just like a multiplier blend attribute, which means 0, no dynamic influence, 1, full dynamic influence, and it can be driven past 1, and that would give you behavior beyond what the current dynamic setup is doing. So if you want to over exaggerate things without tweaking values here, because once you found a good setup for these values, I don't like to change these because it's really hard to find a good setup for these actually dynamic values. So if I show you this very quick, just briefly, don't want to look perverted. When so now it's dynamic on, yes, dynamic on. I just show, and you can see these dropped a little. And when I move the character just up here, I get the movement, and this looks really like the boobs are held stiff here by the corset, and just the fat mass up here is moving. So very, very interesting setup. Cost me quite some headache to have this being implemented correctly because of the way this is controlled. These controls need to be controlled by the dynamic simulation, but they're also controlled by this main control down here. So normally this is the main control and the rest of the shit is hidden, so no one needs to see that the rig is so complex. And yeah, that's it. Well, basically this thing is tied to a stretchy system and some auto scale system, and it's tied to these scale multipliers. So that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it on that. Going down to the arm here, I learned a new technique working at Axis that I was pretty impressed by this technique because it's so cool. But yeah, I'm just going to show it. Nothing more. What I did before was rig arms and knees and even fingers with double joints, which means let me do this real quickly. For instance, something like this, where this main would be the upper arm. Then I would have 2 bones for the elbow, and yeah, because as I mentioned in the other videos, having a bone joint set up like this does a pretty good does a pretty good job in holding the volume. So I exaggerated this one, but I think in one of the older videos I demonstrated what happens if on that current setup I removed one of the joints and had them actually rotate from one point. So I still do this, but only and only on the knees, because as you can see I have double knee setup on the knees. And why do this on the knees? Because well, the knees have no really How can I show this really quickly? Let me make the side view. Or maybe I just see if I can pull out some anatomical references. The bone. Let me see what this gives me. Yeah, maybe I think this one's pretty good. So you can see here how the knee works is not really pivoting around, oops, around exactly one single point. So what this does is rotates along this entire area, and that gives us that 2 points, which is up here, and when the knee is like bent, it's around down here. That's very important because if I used one bone on the knee, this would really kill the volume and would, well, yeah, it would just collapse on this side here. So I need to keep that in mind. That's the reason why it's very important to do double joints on the knees, because that is much better. So now let's elbow bone. As you can see from the elbow, for example, I think this one is a pretty good example. It does actually rotate along about one single point. It doesn't change like on the change its rotation pivot like on the knee. It does always pivot from like this point, like this. I cannot show this because it's not animated, but you get the point. So the way to do this, you can see here a little bit better. It's just likely you could do double joints, but I think what I saw from my job at Axis is that having actually just one bone here works even better, because it looks much more realistic. So I'm so sorry for this. What's happening? Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. Works even better for the elbow, as you can see from this example. It does an excellent job in preserving the natural arm shape. Maybe I need to adjust some skinning here, and holding this elbow tip, and even this bicep. Well, this is basically another type of rig, super simple, but yeah. So you can see, and even here from the back side, there's no single blend shape attached to this body. This is entirely deforming by joints, and yep. What I can get from this kind of rig is very impressive. I'm really glad to having knew about this. Yeah, that basically works for every. What's happening here? Basically works for every limb. So, for instance, here on the wrist too, when I go to the wrist down, you can see how I get some volume here from these little arm things here. I don't know the name here, and also here how nicely this preserves volume when moving the hand. Basically the rotation X is just super standard twist setup with just 4 bones here, just exactly the same thing as on the neck. You have exactly the same type of control, exactly the same behavior on the extra control, so nothing fancy here, nothing new at least. Yeah, basically even on the fingers. So if I still was a little bit too lazy skinning these parts of the hand. Definitely need to do some extra work here. But what I can get already from these very quickly sketched in weights is, well, this doesn't look very good at all, so I won't pray this to be good. But yeah, maybe I can there's a way I can close these fingers now with no loss, with not gap here in between, like on this other ugly rigs that I made before, where this was a problem. And as you can see, you can do this very simple. This is just with a very simple type rig. So you can see there's no fancy double joint here. There's no special position for the finger bones itself. They are all just about roughly in the center volume. So, but still the deformations look rather nice. So maybe I can show you on the other hand, where I have already a hand pose already stored for this character. Let me load this real quickly. So maybe I need to display here one of these assets. I'm going to show this asset right now too. And so basically, this character is like, I want to be like a cyberpunk type fantasy superhero. So nothing logically or realistic at all, but yeah, you know, just playing a little bit with fantasy. And so you can see from the that I can get some pretty natural hand poses. Disregard this ugly seams here. Okay. So the hands look, I think it looks pretty natural. I need to sort of do some fixing here, give them a little bit of volume back here. Yeah, some small tweaks, but it's better than things I did before. So I'm really happy with what I get already from this type rig. So yeah, basically this gun is like a very fancy futuristic type gun. Nothing realistically and logic at all, because it's like a mix of a let me just isolate this. It's basically just like a mix of a revolver type weapon and having attached two blades to it. So you can see here the blade still can shoot and do like melee types attack with this weapon. And of course is here things can, so this is like the idle position, and you know, maybe she ran out of ammo and there's no time to reload, so pull back the knives and start ripping flesh out of the enemies, something like that. Yeah, so very, yeah, nothing. This is basically just rigged with fast driven keys, so the system, as you can see here, is not after I start here, the visibility happens, and then this thing goes back and disappears, and then all of these things here are like stacked on top of each other and coming out of it. So viewing this in slow motion would really be like, oh man, what the fuck is wrong with this gun? But you know, it's like this. I think this is like shooting out like in very short time. So maybe like this. So no one will ever notice this, and it still looks pretty cool. Okay, so let me hide this card again. And basically, do I have joints visible? Reset finger poses. Okay. Yeah, what's not? Yeah, here for the shoulder again. This is something I showed on the other video too. You know, this little trapezius rig here. Basically, I removed the scapula bone and the way I rigged this because it didn't work very good, and I just wasn't very happy with the results after thinking about it at all. By the way, now it is worked now. I'm really happy with it. I'm really satisfied. I took in some comments of you know the video I have there. What is this called? Let me just make a research. This the rig deformation test. So I took some comments from there because there was a pretty nice critic there. I was very, I would say, was surprised. But after all, I'm very happy. So let me see if I can pull some of these out. Comments. Yeah, maybe one of these guys is actually telling me about the scapular bones being too close to each other. I don't know where this was now, but somewhere here. And yeah, I took this in, and I really took a look at the other character and was like, "Oh man, you're right. This doesn't look. It's not good." And so for here, as you can see here, it's basically I modeled them more apart, less prominent. So because this character is supposed to be a little bit more massive, so a little bit stronger, more like trained, so a little bit more musculature, and therefore these bones don't appear as prominent as on the other character, which was for a little academy project and was supposed to be very slim and like hungered because it was in a poor. Well, maybe you'll see this project when it gets done. Sorry. But yeah, the way this works here is I'm very satisfied with the results. I can get some very interesting type skin slide here with no actual muscle system. So this is basically still everything joints. So you can see what nice how nicely this looks. And yeah, that's about it on the part. Yeah, basically, for example, this bone, I still have it there. It doesn't do too much of a job, but it gives me that little bit of subtlety on this part of the muscle here. So if you can see, it doesn't have too much influence at all, but the little bit that it has, I think, helped me quite a bit to maintain a nice shape here, at least to give me a little bit of actual freedom in deforming and tweaking things after the fact. So there it is. And yeah, basically going to the neck. Now here's a big thing that changed since one of my last rigs. Because before I didn't make anything like this. It was just like one bone here, straight up to here, and from here the head pivots, and from here the neck pivots. And in between there's nothing. There's just one straight thing. There's maybe I had like one extra bone. It was not like down the hierarchy. It was just parented to this base bone, and I could manipulate this with another control and tweak the orientation, the bending of the neck a little. It was pretty, but it just gave me problems after thinking about this. It was just problematic, and the way this is working now, much simpler. So the very bloody beginner in rigging would rig things like this. So I really don't know why I did this the other way around before. But this is basically pretty standard FK things going on here, but the way that this looks when deforming is so much better looking than the things that I made before. So you can see what a nice neck pose I can get from this type setup. Very natural, pretty fast. You know, it's just like selecting all the three controls and rotating them. I can get some very nice and smooth head pivoting, which is like head banging. Yeah, there you go. And Also for the sides, you can see these bones here still do a good job in maintaining the trapeze muscle. And then even for twisting, maybe it's a little bit harder on twisting because you're rotating 3 times the amount of handle rotation, so maybe it would be wiser to just pose the neck one control after the other, just to give you more control over what you're doing. But you can see the way the neck flows here is I really like this new way of things. So you can see no weird folding here. It still looks very. I have here a little bit, but I can fix this. I still need to do. This is still the first skin deform pass, so I still need to do some work on the skinning. And but yeah, so you can see how, for instance, if I rotate these 2 controls back, how this throat starts to appear here, and so again, this is still no blend shape. Everything is made with bones, but it looks really natural, and I'm pretty satisfied with the results here. So, and of course, not just rotation, but also if anyone would ever need to offset this, but I think the effect is pretty excuse me, pretty cool just for rotations. But if everyone needs this is here. Yeah, so I think that was pretty much it on this rig. I still didn't rig the face. I'm still working on this, and yeah, so you can see here, for instance, here on the side, just to add this little bit around the hip here. I forgot to mention how when I rotate the leg, how this part still does a pretty reliable job in holding volume. So on previous rigs, when I'm rotating this in 45 degrees Z, it was just like a kill here. It was just like so very ugly deformations here. But here still looks good. And then to the front, when I rotate this leg up, let me move this arm out of the way. And when I rotate this leg up, how this part, yeah, don't mind this. Yeah, I still need to do again skinning. How this part here holds volume very good, and how much massive this looks here just from rotating, and how nice the buttock does hold and maintain volume. And even on the back side, you can see here it just does a good job maintaining volume, so even on higher rotations like this. And rotating backward is like squashing and giving me a little bit of the fleshy look. So I think that's pretty much it on the leg too. And yeah, I think I'm done here. I'm going to make a video soon, in a couple of days or more days, on the outer rigger. Yes. So for instance, one more thing here is the arms, because of the just being a straight bone chain, was pretty easy to implement IK/FK switching on 3-chain rig. So it's basically a pretty standard 3-chain rig with one IK rig, one FK rig blending to the actual bound chain. There's a couple of videos on YouTube on how to do this. So yeah, and of course my very fancy smooth blending IK/FK switch. No one needs this, but I like the way it looks. Yeah, and then on the On the IK controls, I also have here this. This is something I learned recently too. I didn't implement this feature in my previous rigs. So this is basically just IK twist. So this is nothing fancy, just like an offset to the FK control. But here's a new attribute like the follow, which is just like the dynamic parenting attribute. So I took a look on some rigs from animation schools, and all of them have this feature. And it's very, very useful. So it's, you know, it's like chest. This means that the hands are following the chest motion. If I change this to my shoulder, now it's the shoulder that's controlling the hands. And before on the chest, the shoulder was doing nothing. And also maybe, you know, center of gravity, which would mean chest, no influence, shoulder, no influence, but center of gravity influence. I need to turn it. Okay, I mean, for instance, hip. We have the arm following the hip. Maybe you can see this a bit better if I put the hand actually on the hip. There you go. Basically, yeah. I think I need to improve this. This is actually not working the way I like it. You can see the hand is not following completely. Something happening here, I think. Locator. I need to see what, but you see this auto rigging thing is still work in progress, so I'm allowed to still do it. And on this rig, of course, I'm not going to rig this again. I just finished skinning, so just testing on this character, implementing and fixing errors on the script, and yeah, that's the workflow. But I think on the FK, the dynamic parenting works the way it should. Let me check this real quick. So basically, there's not as many. It's just world. Of course, the position is still updating because otherwise the actual controls will still be there. So it's just the rotation for the FK, of course. But you can see now nothing is affecting the arm. And if I change this to shoulder, is now the shoulder that's controlling it. And if I change this to chest, it's now the chest, but no longer the shoulder. So stuff like that. It happened to be pretty standard on rigs like this. So yeah, that's the character. Yeah, I think that's it for. Keep adding things to this video. Here's one more thing to mention. So this character is actually, she's not walking barefoot. She has some shoes on, but I modeled the naked body first and rigged the body in a default naked position first. So it means that this shoe is actually this leg position was rigged afterwards. And you see here this is my current pivot, and as soon as I add in these shoes, the pivot updates to the new position of the ankle. So it's like a real-time pivot update. Very very standard. I can maybe I'll show in another video if you like how to do this, but again, it's not something super new. So yeah, I think next parts will be to actually do the face rig. So everything is already set in place. So facial controls on face and on UI, and all of the attributes are already set up. I just need to create blend shapes, do connections, make curve-based lip rigging and stuff like that. But that's it's not going to take very long. Maybe in an update and show you the final output. Because before I really much liked to rig faces just from bones and maybe curves. So yeah, of course curves for the mouth and maybe some bones for the cheek and for the eyelids. But working just with bones, it'll be very hard to achieve appealing facial performance on the character because you don't have very much control over the small nuances that actual face is actually doing. So on this character, I already prepared the topology, so pretty standard facial topology here. Some edges here, some edges there, some edges here, and yeah, that's it. And but yeah, working with blend shapes is not as flexible because a blend shape is either on or off, and it's just the pose that you made it before. But that's why I like to work with, if I can, to work with both systems. So what I do first is I first do the curve-based rigging on eyebrows and on mouth. Then I add some bone weights to the cheeks, a little bit to the nose and to the eyelids, and some weights here and there. But it's just very simple, just straight away bones. I just move and scale, and they look quite acceptable, but not perfect. And I don't think the face would perform good with just that system. I need to be like a badass rigger to do that, but as you know, I'm still learning. And so blend shapes is the way to go, and to add more subtlety. So for example, this neck tendon. See, I still didn't make any blend shapes again, but as soon as I make them, of course, it's one of the first blend shapes I will do, so that when she rotates her head, I get this nice tandem here appearing like on the other rigs that I showed. And some other blend shapes, and you know, just some additive blend shapes for example, for a smile pose. I can achieve a smile pose from the curve rig, but the effect to get the skin bulging from this area and to get the little how I can call this fold here on the cheek side here is wouldn't be easy to do with just bones or curves. So having a blend shape here, or maybe like 3 blend shapes for maybe the fold intensity down here, then one in the middle and one up there, just because the depth of the fold changes all the time depending on your mood. So you know, a smile has different depth and a different position of the fold as a frown or a shout, and that again varies if you're like shouting angry or if you're like super happy and laughing just very loud. And yeah, so or also, for example, here on the eyes, when I raise the eyebrows, everyone gets some folds up here on the forehead. Yes, even a smooth woman like this. That's what makes a face believable. Oh gosh, and that was make the face believable, and that's why we want to have these folds. I mean, having folds not very good, but on facial performance we want to exaggerate things, and yeah, needs to be there to have. It really adds more something to the character and to the facial performance having folds. For example, even if I have like a smile pose, I don't think if my topology here is enough for supporting some wrinkles and folds here on this side of the eye. But if not, it's okay. I would just sculpt some folds here in Mapbox or ZBrush and blend in the normal. Just connect a normal blend to the actual normal map and have a trigger from our facial controls. So stuff like that. And yeah, I think I think now I'm done. It's just 50 minutes already, so if you have any questions, comments, you can leave them below. I'll be happy about that. And see you soon on the presentation of the auto rigger. And until then, have a nice time learning. Bye.